Hi, Ultimate Baby Sleep Group. How are you all doing? It is Tuesday morning, 11:05 a.m. here EST, and I have missed you all. As you can see, for those of you who've been following me for some time, I am not in my office still. We're doing construction. I'm upstairs in my living room, which the sunlight is not amazingly good lighting in my office, but wanted to personally come in, welcome all the newbies that we have here to the group, say hello, and continue going through our sleep personality series, okay? We talked about this a lot last week and the week before, so I just want to give you all a rundown and talk about it again, what this whole sleep personality series is. Let me just pull it up so I can see who's watching here. What this whole sleep personality series is, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about the intense baby, okay? I've been getting a lot of questions recently about how to tell if our baby is intense, how to tell what personality your baby does have, okay? Now, just as a reminder, if you want to scroll through, we did a video a few weeks ago talking about the various types of sleep temperaments. Your baby's personality has a direct correlation with obviously how your baby is going to sleep. So I've broken it down into 5 main sleep temperaments, and obviously no one baby is going to be exactly this or exactly that, but we're going to talk about this week, we're going to actually start diving into the sensitive baby and talking about the sensitive baby and how that sensitive personality affects sleep. But I want to just remind you all to go back in. We have a bunch of questions we sent out asking how your baby responds to the world around him, right? How in tune with your baby's environment is he? How does your baby respond to new situations? So if you haven't seen that, scroll back in, go and look at our videos where I asked you all the questions because it's going to help you learn who your baby is, what your baby's personality is like, and then in turn, help mold that to shape your baby's sleep even more, okay? We do this for some sanity. Now, just to remind you all, the 5 categories that I have broken down baby sleep and baby sleep personality is the intense baby, which if you've been following our posts, I've been dropping a lot of helpful hints about the intense baby and how to help the intense baby. I'm going to talk about a little bit more in the video today. We have the sensitive baby, okay, which I'm going to start talking about tomorrow and the rest of the next 2 weeks. We have the intense baby, the sensitive baby, the free-spirited baby, okay, the high energy baby, and then we have the combination baby, okay? So, sorry, not high energy, free-spirited. We have free-spirited and adaptable. So intense, sensitive, free-spirited, adaptable, and combination. Now, combination is at the end, what I'm going to talk about at the end is probably what's going to speak to most of you because most of your babies are combination babies, meaning a hint of intense with a drop of sensitive, a hint of this, and I'm going to help define that so that way you can help mold your baby's sleep personality to figure out how to help your baby sleep. So before I dig in, anyone who's watching, tell me, and I've seen a lot of comments when I've been posting about the intense baby the past few weeks, a lot of people have chimed in and said, Batya, that is my baby. My baby is 100% intense, and I know that my baby has a really difficult time processing the world. My baby has a really difficult time with change. My baby has a really difficult time with all of these other ideas. So if you are watching now and you've been posting, I want to ask you and just put in the comments below, Batya, yeah, I get it. I really do think that my baby is intense, okay? Now, what I mean by intense is how strong and how intense, in essence, are your baby's emotional reactions to the world around her, okay? Intense babies don't whimper. They scream when they're upset. Intense babies go from 0 to 60 in about a second. They go from just kind of whimpering and getting upset to being super, super, super intense. As toddlers, they might be trying to make a friend, right? But instead of being gentle and trying to slowly initiate the relationship, they'll just like kick them. And it's not because they don't have emotional intelligence or social intelligence, they do, but their reactions to the world are so intense. And I find oftentimes intense babies, when you are trying to get them onto a sleep routine, or when you are trying to initiate them into independence, or trying to get them to a place where they're going to be able to sleep a lot easier on their own without as much of your help or dependencies or crutches, is they have a really hard time winding down, okay? Number one, they have a really hard time winding down because they can't transition easily from environment to environment. So let's say you have an intense baby that you're trying to expedite the bedtime process. An intense baby's gonna need a lot more time winding down, a lot more time getting into this like reaction mode where they're really able to get consciously in this place of relaxation for sleep. You know, an intense person as an adult can't like go on a run and then simply just like sit down and relax, right? So an intense baby's the same. They can't go from peekaboo and playing and all these things to suddenly getting in wind down mode. They need really ample time to go through this process and allow their bodies to get to this place of relaxation, okay? So that's the first thing I want you to keep in mind. And I'm going to give you some tips about the intense baby. But the second thing to keep in mind is that intense babies, intense children, as they get older, and especially when you're working on their sleep, as mothers or as fathers, we have fathers here in the group also, we have the power to help them get over their intensity. I have, trust me, my oldest, who inspired my whole sleep journey, who got me into sleep, 12, 13 years ago, got me into being the sleep expert that I am today, is an intense fighter. Intense sleep fighter, intense emotional reactions to the world around him, just intense all around, okay? He's not a combination, all right? He is intense 100% by every way, shape, and form of what the word means. But intense children and intense babies are very in tune with their mothers emotionally. And we have the ability to kind of mirror what they're feeling for good or for bad, okay? So when you're working on sleep with an intense baby, they are going to pick up. All babies, all children are emotional extensions of us, of course. And if you've been following me for some time, I always talk about it. For those of you who are in Rested Moms Club, you know we have a whole module on it, right? Talking about it. Hey, Lydia, how you doing? But an intense baby is going to be even more emotionally in tune. An intense baby, if a mother is stressed, anxious, feeling nervous about getting their baby onto routine or nervous about their baby's sleep, an intense baby is going to mirror that so much more, and it's going to have a much harder time falling asleep when the anxiety in the room is so high. Another baby, of course, is going to feel it as well. Another child's also going to feel it, but not as intensely. But what does that mean for us as parents? That means that we have the power, the capabilities to be able to say, all right, you know what? This is hard for me. Working on my baby's sleep is hard for me. Or this temper tantrum is hard for me. Or when my 13-year-old, 12-year-old rides his bike off to school and we had a whole little squabble, that's hard for me. Any situation that you put yourself in, but it's so powerful to know that we have the ability to neutralize our own emotions to help them mirror that calmness that we give them. And with an intense baby, when you're talking about sleep, it's really, 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 really important to understand this because they are going to feed off of your energy for good or for bad. Anyone who's watching, Lydia or anyone else who's watching, do any of you know what I'm saying? Do any of you have an intense baby, an intense toddler, an intense friend? Are you intense? Okay, but just in general, just to understand this concept, because the emotions can get so high-strung and so intertwined that it can negatively impact ultimately what you're trying to do with your child's sleep, because you're so tense, you're so nervous, you're so stressed, you're so this, when if you can just sit down, have a conversation with yourself and say, okay, I know my baby's capable of doing this because of X, Y, Z. I've seen them do it before. I'm confident that, and you might still feel a little bit of fear or anxiety in there, but the more you can neutralize it and back it down, your baby's gonna mirror that so much more. Does that make sense? Sorry guys, I forgot to turn my phone off. Anyone who's watching, let me know. So true, Katerina. Yeah, totally. Anyone else? Do you have an intense baby? Do you have an intense toddler? Have you seen this, right? An intense toddler will have a full-blown temper tantrum on the floor. And if you have this intense baby personality, of course, all toddlers are intense in their own way, shape, and form, but I'm talking about intense in terms of how they process the world. They really, really intensely cannot transition to new situations. They have a really difficult time getting calmed down. They get really upset. An intense toddler will have a complete meltdown on the floor, and a mother can respond. Well, he can respond in 1,000 ways, but for purpose of theories discussion, what we're talking about, a mother can get really wound up. Trust me, I've been there myself. I am no angel, okay? I do my best with parenting, but we all have our squabbles. We all have our fallouts, okay? So we can have an intense toddler, an intense baby have a full-blown temper tantrum, and we can get stressed and frustrated, and it can turn into a full-blown power struggle. Yes, you can have a power struggle with your toddler, with your 1.5-year-old, with your 1-year-old, okay? Of course, it's not a power struggle of like back and forth tug of war, but it's emotional, right? So you can have that, and you're just almost like feeding off of each other's negative energy. You're getting frustrated, they're getting frustrated, you're getting frustrated. It's like, argh! As opposed to taking a step back and saying, you know what? My toddler is upset because they don't want to take a nap. I'm bringing this back to sleep because that's what we're talking about here. My toddler doesn't want to go to bed tonight, okay? My 8-month-old is so intensely frustrated because of XYZ, because it's an intense personality, and they can't seem to let go of the fact that I didn't hold them the way they wanted, or I didn't offer extra bottle, or whatever it is, okay, age appropriate, that you could sit there and have that negative power struggle back and forth for an extremely long time because you're feeding off of one another's energy and your baby is just mirroring how you feel, okay? So conversely, what you can do is you can say, all right, bedtime is stressful. This nap, my toddler does not want to go down, my baby does not want to go to sleep, or a situation with a temper tantrum, or a situation with anything in parenting with your intense child, and take a step emotionally out of the situation. So what I first recommend doing is giving it time. okay? First, you have to take that step out yourself and say, all right, I'm going to stay calm during this situation, and I'm going to neutralize how I feel. I'm going to get myself in a place of strength, a place of confidence, a place of positivity, so that I'm not going to be yo-yoing and mirroring this negativity back and forth. That's number one. Number two, you need to give your intense baby time. They need to have sufficient wind down time before a nap, before bedtime. And this is a mistake I see a lot of people making, and a lot of people asking me, okay, I don't understand, why is my baby having such a difficult time winding down for bed? And of course, there could be a myriad of reasons, but at the end of the day, if you don't understand what your baby's sleep personality is, you could be forcing them to do something prematurely when their body is simply not in that ideal relaxed state to go to sleep. So give them enough time, okay? He needs time for his emotions to settle. He needs time to get in this low-key mode. He needs time to transition to get wound down for a sleep cycle, okay? But you can't do that if you are not in a calm state first. So number one, force yourself to be calm. Force yourself to take a step out emotionally so that you can tackle the situation, because otherwise you're going to feed off one another's negativity, emotionally, high-strung intensity. It's just going to be this back and forth power struggle. Number two, ensure that you're giving your intense baby sufficient time to wind down and get in this relaxing state for sleep, okay? Because otherwise, they're going to fight you, and their emotions are going to get caught up with them, and they're just going to get more and more and more and more wound up. Last thing is you must do things gradually with intense babies, okay? In the Rested Moms Club, which is my step-by-step program, I know a lot of you, actually there's a few of you watching now who are in Rested Moms Club, but you've been asking me, we've been talking a lot about the different sleep temperaments recently. And you all know, and I'm just looking here at some of the questions I was getting, you all know that with an intense baby, you're not going to be able to transition them to independent sleep as easily. You'll be able to, intense baby is not going to be as easily adaptable to transitioning to independence with sleep as much as, a free-spirited baby or an adaptable baby or even a sensitive baby. Sensitive babies have a completely different personality altogether. You'd think that they're similar to intense, but they're really not. And I'm going to delve into the sensitive baby later on this week and do a video next week about it. But you want to make sure that you don't want to push your baby's body to do something before he is ready, because he's going to feel rushed. He's going to feel overwhelmed. He's going to feel like, oh my gosh, I cannot cope with this situation. And in turn, the intense emotions are going to catch up more. Okay, so before I dig in more and talk about this a little bit more, do any of you watching feel like you have an intense baby or an intense toddler? Let me know in the comments below. Give me some hearts. Give me some thumbs up. I know there's not tons and tons of you watching because it's like a really bad time around lunchtime. But I wanted to come in because I've been getting a lot of questions. I've been seeing a lot of comments about the intense baby in general. Do any of you, and I'm just looking at a lot of the questions I received via Messenger, do any of you watching feel like you have an intense baby? Have you answered the questions? Do you know where to find the questions of all the different things that we discussed in the various videos and the various threads that we had and the posts that we had coming in here? You need to figure out who your baby is. You are doing yourself the biggest service for sleep, but also in parenting and also just in an awareness of understanding who your baby is, okay? The rule is, in general, the more you help your intense baby, the less you are actually helping them. Got it? Makes sense, Morgan? Okay. What do I mean by that? Gila, the more you help your intense baby, the less you are actually helping them. Why? Because if you go back to this power struggle of a toddler not wanting to go to sleep at bedtime with an intense baby, they're coming out of their bed. You're trying to put them back in. They don't want to go to sleep. You're trying to cover them up. You're giving them another glass of water. You're doing this. You're trying to help them, but in essence, you are helping them less because you're just intensifying the situation and making the two of you be this whole emotional jumble of feelings. So remember that the more you help your intense baby, the less you are helping them. If you can take anything away from this and learn how to help your baby sleep, that's the most important thing. Taking a step out of the situation emotionally, giving your child time to wind down, process the world, go from a place of emotional overwhelm to calmness, and then gradually transitioning them to that state for sleep is what is going to ultimately help them best, okay? If you want to get more tips about the intense baby, we've had posts for the past 2 weeks here in the group about the intense babies, little tidbits about power struggles, things like that. But I wanted to just come in and do an actual video about it to help you all process this and understand what I've been talking about when I talk about the intense baby, okay? So stay tuned. Later on in the week, we're going to dig on into the sensitive baby. Then we'll talk about the adaptable baby and the free-spirited baby and the combination baby and everything like that. But it's so, so, so important. And that's why I've been posting left and right in here in the group. I want you all to really embrace this and understand the importance of what it means for it to understand your baby's sleep personality. Okay, Morgan. Yes, a very intense 4-month-old, very attached to me during the day, will not let me put her down at all. Try numerous times and going insane here. Okay. So Jenny, I always ended up picking her up only because I can't take all the crying. Yeah, these intense babies, but remember, sometimes, oftentimes, most of the time, I'll even venture to say for Jenny and Morgan who just wrote this, the more you're helping them, the less you're helping them. Keep that in mind. And of course, I'm not telling you to stick your baby on the floor and leave them screaming. You too, Alois. Me too, Jenny. I'm not telling you to leave your babies in the crib screaming. I don't advocate that at all. If you've been following me, you know I want to have an awareness and gentleness with everything that we do in parenting, with sleep, with everything. You want to always be emotionally in tune with your child, but sometimes, and most of the time, like I told you, with these intense babies, you're just riling one another up because they are an emotional mirror to you. So all of you who just wrote this with your intense babies that cry all day, first of all, what can you do to help them take a step out? What can you do to calm yourself down first? Because remember, if you're getting riled up, you're getting frustrated, you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm at my wit's end with this baby and I don't know what to do, they're only going to continue doing that over and over and over and over and over and over and over, right? Because the two of you are just mirroring one another's emotions. Then try to give them ample time to wind down and get in this place of relaxation, whether it's for sleep, whether it's just so you can put them down for a few minutes and have some peace of mind, and then incorporate everything gradually towards getting to that state of sleep, getting to that state of serenity, okay? Because the more you force it on an intense baby, the more they push back. And you know what? Guess what? My oldest, who is intense, and like I said, who has inspired my whole sleep journey, I am intense. That is my personality. That is my sleep personality. So we are just like this, and we do this even today. We butt heads all day. Not anymore, because thank goodness I have an awareness, and I try really hard to neutralize myself, and I'm all about self-growth, and I'm all about trying to be the best mother that I can be to my children. But, you know, when I slip up, or on times maybe where I'm feeling a little bit less self-aware, or I'm feeling moody, or I'm feeling not in my prime, it is like me intense and him intense, and it pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes until eventually I say, oh my gosh, I have to neutralize. I have to seriously take a step back out of myself, because it is just going to continue going till eventually we like knock each other out of the water. So it's the same thing with sleep. Control yourself and do what you can. If you need to have a glass of wine, if you need to eat a chocolate bar, that's my go-to. If you need to take a walk, if you even need to put your baby down and leave the room for a minute just to regroup, when you can re-tackle the situation with a place of calmness, you are going to be helping your baby so much more, and your baby is going to respond so much better because you are in a place of calmness. Kayla, your baby's super intense. Yes, Kayla, you were one of the people who posted, and I thought of you. I'm like, I hope Kayla watches this, because I saw in all of our posts, Kayla, that we were putting with the intense baby, you were like, that's me, that's me. So does this speak to all of you with the intense baby? It's the most important thing. So let's just remember, okay? Some key takeaways I want you to know about the intense baby. Number one, the more you help them, oftentimes the less you help them. And I'm not saying not to help your baby. Take this in a very non-literal sense. The more you help your baby, the less you help your baby, because the more involved you are, and the more you're trying to do this and to calm her down, the more intensely you're feeling, and the more everything's getting out of whack, and you're just butting heads, intensity. Take a step back, regroup, help yourself, okay? Neutralize your own emotions after you've realized that you're not helping them. Try to get them to a place where they can transition and have longer wind down time, whether it's a nap, whether it's a temper tantrum, whether it's dinner, whether it's getting in the car. They might need a little more time because they are so intensely feeling that. And introduce everything gradually. Gradually is the key, because otherwise these intense babies, we're going to try to hover, and myself included. Okay, I've got baby, some of my kids are less intense, more combinations, which we'll continue talking about, you know, as the weeks progress, and we're delving into the other temperaments. But this son of mine, my 12-year-old, he is the intense one. And remember, I use him as my example because he has been my learning curve throughout the process from when he was a newborn till now, okay? But you want to do what you can. And let's see. Marike, oh my gosh, my baby used to cry a lot and he didn't like to sleep or nap. Now he's 6 months and he's improving a lot. I had to breathe a lot. Yeah, exactly. That's what you have to do. And if they're crying and 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 crying, because remember, intense babies don't just, yeah, I knew what you meant, Marike, breathe a lot. Intense babies don't just like whimper, they scream at the top of their lungs, right? Intense toddlers don't just like feel frustrated. they are mad and they have a full-blown meltdown, okay? So it's not helping the situation when you're getting so emotionally involved. Tina, yes, one of my twins is super intense when I'm trying to get them to sleep. Yes, so follow these pieces of advice, please, okay? The more you help them, the less you help them. Remember that. You have to sometimes take a step back and neutralize your own emotions. Give them more time to sufficiently wind down because they can't go from la-di-da-di-da-di, playtime, everything to sleep. They need a little bit more time to get in an ideal wind down place for sleep or for life or for the car or for dinner or for getting dressed or for whatever, taking a drink of water because everything's a battle, okay? And number 3, incorporate everything gradually. And I keep saying this over and over because I want you all to learn this, okay? Now, for those of you, I've also been getting a lot of messages recently. You're all like, Batya, when do you go live in the group? Like, I'm never notified. I never know. You can hit, and I'm going to put this below. You can actually, there's a way to, and Lord help me, someone told me this yesterday, and you all know tech is like not my thing at all. But Aubrey, my dear, I know you know how to do this. Can you tell everyone how to get notified when I go live? There's something that you can click in the notifications where you get notified when Batya goes live in the Ultimate Baby Sleep Group, because I will admit, summer's been a little wonky for me. As you all know, I got sick a few times. Things have been a little crazy. Like during the school year, I usually was going on every single day at 10 a.m. You guys were in here, but it's been a little bit like sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 11:30. I didn't do it at all a few days last week, so I'm sorry and I apologize, but gosh, I'm a mom too. My kids are in camp and life is insane during the summer with trips. I was just telling someone this morning, I feel like you need a degree in like carpool management in the summer between remembering who has the trip and who needs the permission slip and who's having lunch in school today. Oh, but this one needs more money for the canteen to buy more candy. Oh, but don't forget that one's towel and okay. So by the time I get everyone out, sometimes I just need to like, feel like my brain needs to just like, it's like turns into jello, right? But in any case, if you want to get notified, I'm going to tag Aubrey below. If she can please let everyone know how you get notified when I go live. But I try to do it around 11 or 12 most days a week. All right, let's go through a few of your questions. But I want you all to understand the intense baby. You have to help yourself with this intense baby because as they get older, guess what? An intense baby is going to turn into an intense toddler. It's going to turn into an intense kid, an intense preteen. And you are doing yourself the biggest service in the world by nailing it now, their personality, but also short term just to get the sleep that you need because you need to just separate a little bit. Tanya, can a baby change from less intense to more intense as they get older? Yes. You know, I'm definitely a big fan of like, you know, I'm not going to get into a psychological debate of like nature versus nurture, but yeah, kids can grow. But remember, you can foster and teach an intense child. And we're going to talk about this more, Tanya, in Rested Moms Club. Okay. I have actually a bunch of articles I'm posting in there specifically about the different sleep temperaments. So stay tuned. It's going to be loading in a few days. But our job is to help teach our intense babies, our intense children, how to neutralize their emotions, but it's through example, first and foremost, right? We all know the biggest parenting skill you can do is by teaching your child through example. So if you have this intense baby and you're like pulling at your hair and like, oh my gosh, it's so hard, we're just teaching them to get more intense. So the way you can help them learn to kind of take a few steps down emotionally is by getting to this place of neutralizing your emotions first. And then as they get older, you can start talking about it with them. But yes, an intense baby for sure can get more intense or less intense. Sometimes there's peaks, right? And that's why as we go through the different temperaments, Tanya, you'll see, let's see other comments here. Eloise, do we leave them in their crib to calm them? Okay, so that's a more specific question. It really depends on how old your baby is, Eloise, what you're working on, what your baby's sleep habits are like, how much sleep they've gotten, are they overtired? You got to do what feels right for you at the end of the day. You got to do what feels right for you, and you got to do what you feel like your baby needs to process. Some babies get completely overstimulated and angry when you're in there. Some babies love the comfort. Okay, so it really just depends, and that's why I want you to answer all the questions that we were posting the past few weeks to get to know your baby. Bree, my child is so intense at bedtime. If I leave the room, he throws a tantrum until I come back into the room. Yeah, so you got to make a game plan, Bree. I don't know how old your child is, to figure out like, well, what do I need to do? How can I get to this place where I'm going to be consistent and it's not going to get to a place of a power struggle? Yes, you can have a power struggle with a 5 or 6 month old. Okay, don't just think power struggles mean for like the terrible 2s or the 3s or 4s. Okay, while still ensuring my child feels secure without getting to that place emotionally myself. Okay, Raylene, my baby is not intense, but I babysit a baby girl who I'd say is very intense. This is helpful. Good. I'm so happy, Raylene. Kayla, yes, your post confirmed what I thought. In the past few weeks, we've been started just laying her in her crib. Where'd your post go, Kayla? Laying her in her crib, just laying her in her crib 20-30 minutes before naps and bedtimes, and she loves it. Great, Kayla, I'm so happy. She no longer uses a pacifier either and self-soothes like a champ. I love this group and your knowledge. Oh, thank you. We love you too. And that's why, always remember, we try to keep this place like spam-free, mommy bashing free. If you ever feel like something goes out of our group rules, let us know. We want this just to be a supportive community to help you all. All right, Eloise, I just answered your question. Baby's 3.5 months. Okay, amazing. So if you feel like anyone would benefit from seeing this, oh, you can't share it. I did it in our private group, so never mind. But do what you can to get in tune with your own baby. If you're not sure what your baby's sleep personality is, I'm going to remind you again, it's your baby's personality and how it affects your baby's sleep. But if you're still not sure, go through the videos. If you go in the videos tab in this group, I did a video asking you, I don't remember how many questions it was, but very specific questions about how your baby responds to the world around him or her, how they transition, what they do with new situations, okay? And answering those questions, it's gonna make so much sense. If you know you have an intense baby, you do. If you're not sure, it could be your baby is a combination baby. But later on in the week, we're gonna start delving into the next sleep temperament, which is the sensitive sleeper. And remember, some babies and most babies are not like one specifically. They're usually a combination, which I'll double onto in the end. Okay, so everyone have an amazing Tuesday, and I hope this helps you. Remember, intense babies, intense children, doesn't mean they can't sleep, but once you know who you're dealing with, you can make a game plan. And like I always tell all of you in all of our videos, when I'm answering your #SleepQ questions, everything, you can only map out what you're doing when you know what your destination is, number one, right? But you have to make a game plan along the way. When you go on a trip, you decide where you're going, and then you figure out, or Waze or whatever, Google Maps figures out for you the route to take. So you can't just have this goal in mind and have it be this abstract place without understanding who your child is in the process to make that roadmap, okay? Let me know if this makes sense, all of you. Amazing comments, amazing questions. Keep it up, and stay tuned for the sensitive baby. All right, take care. Bye-bye.